What's that? But then they can't hear me. Oh, I can hear you, but they can't hear you. I see, okay. Yeah, that works. I get that. I'm Karthik. That's what you all say, Karthik. Lately people have been using Karthik, like the word Karthik, but if you had a lisp. So that's the mnemonic device that people like to use right now, Karthik. That doesn't make me feel very good, but there's nothing I can do about it. And in any case, Karthik isn't my name. Karthik is my name. Karthik. From Kartikeya, Ganesha's older brother. That's the way I describe it. But Murugan, so it's a Shivite name for a strong male figure, religious name. Yeah, so I was born in Madras, which is no longer called Madras. So the place where I was born changed its name. And now it's called Chennai. And we have a naming convention where I come from, right? Which is that if you take your place where you were born, and then you take your parents' name, your father's name, then you have one name that you're given, right? So, like my parents gave me the name Karthik. I am Karthik. Right? And M, Madras is the name of the city I was born in. Even though now it's Chennai, I wouldn't say C because it wasn't called Chennai when I was born there, right? So M, Madras. T, Tyagarajan, that's my dad's name. Yeah, my father, his name was Tyagarajan, his one name, right? Tyagaraja was a poet, lyricist, songwriter, very brilliant songwriter. And he was born, my father, in the village where I came from, so it was a very common name there then. And so I take those initials, M, Madras, where I was born, T, Tyagarajan, my father, to be my initials, and then my name is Karthik, or Karthik, you just say Karthik, right? About, 20 years, 30 years. Yeah, 10 years used to be a big difference to me, and now, as I get older, it feels like 10 years is just gone like that. And forgotten quite deeply, because the digital generation has divided my life in half. So we have the pre-internet time, and we have the post-internet time. And the two are completely different. And this one is a simulation, this time we're in right now. It is a simulation of our own manufacturing. How do I mean that? I mean that okay, so I was 27 years old and finishing up schooling, all the school. I didn't want to be in school anymore. I've gotten here with it. And the place to be was Silicon Valley. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that that was the place to be, because the internet was about to be born. The internet as we know it, the World Wide Web, as we know it, was about to be born. And I had wanted to live in San Francisco for a very long time, so I rushed to San Francisco in 1990. And that was when the TCP/IP protocol was signed. The TCP/IP protocol is what kind of finally allowed the World Wide Web to exist, right? Like, the concept of the internet exists. The internet exists within a military constraint. Then it exists within an educational systems constraint. So the very first people who were non-military to be able to kind of have engagement with it was educational people, professors, students. That's how it was supposed to go. So .edu, right? But it wasn't even .edu yet. There was no dot. So it was things like shared collective building between colleges and students in computer science departments all over the country is what was going on. So you had people in my program, people in Boston, people in Los Angeles, people in, Champaign, Urbana, people in Silicon Valley. And they were students, so we were in our 20s, our professors were in their 50s, say 60s. It was the dawn of this interconnectivity for the first time. And we were writing things to each other on message boards. They called them, there are all kinds of names for these things, but like bulletin board lists, BBLs, and then a mechanism for connective searching came up, and it was Gopher. It was Gopher, right? Gopher. Because you could call someone a gopher if you had someone in the lab who was just like an undergrad or something, and they just needed them to go get coffee or go get the data from the printer or go get something from somewhere. You just call them a gopher, right? So I would say gopher, which is also the burrowing animal under the ground, gopher was the name of that search mechanism. Extremely rudimentary search mechanism we're talking about now. Now, at this time, I had at home personal computer, but not the Apple. Many friends had Apple, the 2, the 2E, the Macintosh would arrive when I was, I guess, the end of my junior year in high school. So the Mac is now actively being used in college by select people. Let's say in 1987, 90, 91, 93, we're now well into Apple's existence. By the time the net is a thing, this is before, the Windows operating system was even a relevancy, because this is in the DOS era. And again, many of these terms may not be relevant anymore, or are obviously quickly disappearing and don't matter anymore. So, what's that? Oh, yeah. So I call that pre-internet baccalaureate, right? So we are the fastest shrinking group of people who are educated on the planet. We are the pre-internet. Before the internet existed, we got our bachelor's degrees. So we have college degrees from before the internet existed. So I call us the pre-internet baccalaureate. And we're the beginnings. It almost disappeared by now, right? I mean, I'm nearly 60. I'm 57 now, right? So, pretty soon there won't be no such thing as a pre-internet baccalaureate. Unless you have somebody who said, well, I went to a college and they just decided we're going to do it the old way, and there was no internet allowed. But you'd have to have an excellent library. That's the thing. If you're a writer, you need books, you need a library. That's an urgency. It doesn't even matter that we have the internet now, because the internet is full of shallow information. That's not useful to a writer. You need depth of information if you're a writer. So the internet's about to be born. Thank you. So the internet's about to be born, and I'm running to San Francisco to be around that. The energy around that is pretty fascinating. My first job was at Genentech, the biotech company, because they were working on an HIV/AIDS vaccine program, which obviously, although never came to fruition. But they had elected to invest some millions of dollars, many millions of dollars, in a project headed by Dr. Don Francis. If you saw and the band played on, he was the character played by Matthew Modine. And Don and I became loose friends. They all thought I was a bit of a nutter at Genentech because of my style, which is, as everybody knows, a little nutty, I would say. But I worked there for about 9 months, and then the project was canned. And they wanted me to move on to a corporate project. I didn't want to do that, so I left and went to South America. But my first email, right, would have been the .edu email. And now my second email was a .com email, and it was Genentech So it was Karthik, with no H, Karthik at gene.com, Gene for Genentech, because when this stuff all started, they took gene, right? So my first email would have been .edu. My second ever email would have been the .com, gene.com. Now, that would have been 1994, okay? From 1994 to, say, 1999, that became an irrelevancy. At the same moment that cable television exploded around the nation, meaning that there were now, maybe not hundreds, but certainly tens of channels now all over the nation, and smaller people creating channels through the mechanism of cable television. You had the internet rapidly providing, personal computing mechanisms to emails so that you could have your own connectivity via the mechanism of the internet. And that fluidity was also rapidly increased. So I would say that's the window. If the TCP/IP protocols are signed in 1993 and this thing goes off like that, the .coms are now a thing. By 97, we're about to have the .com-ism. Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to have to stop there today. And I am MT Karthik.